This is the Flipping Junkie Podcast, episode 90. Welcome to the Flipping Junkie Podcast, the podcast for flip pilots everywhere. Flip pilots are the house flippers that work more on our business instead of in our business by keeping a 30,000 foot view. You're now part of this small group of house flippers that considers themselves flip pilots, that strive to build a life of financial freedom and time freedom so that we can spend more time doing what we love with who we love. In this podcast, I give you a glimpse of the daily life of a flip pilot. So let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flipping Junkie Podcast. Got another great episode today I'm excited to do with my friend Chance. He lives up in Dallas. We're down here in San Antonio, so we're not that far away. But I met Chance at a Mastermind group, and it turns out we were actually went to the same high school, so that was kind of cool. But real quick, before we get into the episode, what I wanted to do was just share with you real quick the Flip Pilot Facebook group that we've created for investors that want to spend more time with other investors interested in maintaining a 30,000 foot view of their business and growing their business as a real business that gives them true freedom so that they can do the things that they want to do. And to get into that private Facebook group, you can get an invite at flippilot.com. Go to flippilot.com to get that invite for the group, and you'll be given directions to enter that group, and then you can do, if you've got questions for the group, by all means, everybody's been super helpful. It's been a great community, and if you've got a specific question you'd like for me to answer on a podcast episode, I started doing these Just Ask podcast episodes, and you can just write the question in there and tag it Just Ask, and hashtag Just Ask, and I'll take a look at that. You'll get answers from other people in the group, I'm sure, and then I'll record a video. I'm sorry, yeah, it'll be a video and a podcast episode to answer that question, so I can answer the question in great detail. Now, if it's a quick question that can be answered with a couple words, obviously it'll just be something we answer in the group, and I wouldn't record a whole episode about it. But if you've got a question that you've not found an answer for out there, by all means, join that group and share in there, and I would look forward to answering it in a video and a podcast episode for this Flipping Junkie Podcast. So thanks for listening. Let's talk to Chance and find out how he gets 30% of his deals from other wholesalers and how he's building those relationships and doing that. All right, hey Chance, thanks for being on the show.
Hey Danny, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just getting ready for Hurricane Harvey. Supposed to make landfall today, I think. I think it already is. Well, no, maybe later tonight or something. But everybody's like bought all the water and everything, so it's sold out everywhere. Even up here in San Antonio, it's like sold out. I went to get some, and the shelves were completely bare where the water was.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I can't get water, so I guess I'll get beer and make sure at least I have beer to drink. So I got some.
You can survive off of that for a while.
Right. So I don't know, but I don't know what the kids are going to drink. But no, but we're in a small community, and we have the water tower's like like a mile from my house. And it's all gravity fed. I don't feel like we're going to have a problem. It's a small community. I'm not on a well or anything. And
I don't really think it's going to get as bad as they're expecting down there.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's the problem of it stalling out and just dumping all that rain. So it's like 13 inches expected here, I think.
That's a lot of rain, though.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But you're up there in Dallas, right? Just south.
Yeah, we're up in Dallas. I don't think we're going to get hit quite as bad as you guys. So
okay.
We're pretty lucky, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they were telling people, I was watching the Weather Channel, and they were telling people, if you're looking to evacuate and you're going to Austin, it's probably not far enough. You need to be going to Dallas. It's like, wow, they're really thinking it's going to be pretty bad, so we'll see. But anyway, I wanted to share with you, at least the power's not out yet. We could do our podcast. That's what's important. We can do this podcast. But
yeah,
I've been looking forward to doing the podcast since we both talked at the Mastermind meeting about a month ago. Was it a month, 2 months now?
Yeah, maybe a little over a month, yeah. Middle of last month.
Yeah, so I was talking to Chance, and we were talking about deal sources, like how he's getting deals, and he was talking about how over 30% of your deals are coming from other wholesalers, right?
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool, and I wanted to find out how he's working those relationships and how he does that Because the assumption I think a lot of people have, and that I've always had, was, well, wholesalers want to get the highest they can for the deals, and I can't buy it cheap enough to make it a good deal for me from a wholesaler. And so I hope to debunk that with what Chance has to say today. But do you want to start with your story, how you got started in real estate, how long you've been doing it, and just share with the audience your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it was about, I bought a house. I took over a house from my mom back in 2008, 2009. Subject to, even though I didn't have a clue what subject to was at the time. And
so who had the idea to do subject to then?
Well, I just kind of took over it. It wasn't legally done the way it was supposed to or anything. It was just kind of she wanted to move into San Antonio, and I was living up in New Braunfels at the time. So I took over the house there in New Braunfels, and it needed a lot of work. And so I took it over from her, lived in it for a few years, did a bunch of work to it, and then I got a job offer to move up to Dallas. And so we ended up selling that house, and I made a lot of money. I think I made 40, 50 grand off of the house.
Oh, nice.
And so that was that was back in 2013, and that's kind of what got me hooked. And I moved up here, started running this other company, and the whole time I was up here, I was telling my wife, we need to do something in real estate. I got the bug at that point, I guess you would say. I was like, this is where we need to be. I mean, we just made 50 grand, and we just put a little bit of work into that house, and so I started looking.
Okay, so you put work into it, because I was going to ask, didn't your mom want any of that? I mean, I don't know.
No,
so you had to do some work to the place.
Yeah, I replaced the siding, the flooring. We painted it. We did quite, not a lot, but I lived in it for a few years too. So when I bought it from her, it needed work, and I bought it for pretty much what it was worth. And so with appreciation and everything, she didn't want it. She said she sold it to me, and that was the deal. So it worked out well for us. And then, anyways, fast forward up, I'm in Dallas. I'm hooked. I'm doing a bunch of research. I'm all over Bigger Pockets. I think I started following you early on when you started putting your podcast out, Justin Williams. And then I ended up meeting my business partner now, and he had owned a rental property here. And in 2014, we partnered up and started flipping property together.
Awesome. So how did you guys meet? How did you meet your partner?
So we met, there was a get-together at one of our mutual friends' houses, and we both met and just started talking about real estate. And one thing led to another, and we started becoming friends and both kept our interest. And then we decided to go into business together. I guess it was the summer of 2015 when we decided to actually take this thing on. And we bought our first house together in August of 2015, and we rehabbed that one, and we did okay on it, and then from there we just took off running, and we did about 16 last year, and this year we've been doing on average about 2 a month.
Nice. That's pretty quick ramp up too from that's only been 2 years then, right, total?
Yeah, it's been 2 years, yeah.
Wow. So how did you guys educate yourself when you got started and getting going and ramping up? Because it sounds like you ramped up pretty quick, like you had a good plan. And how did you get the ramp up to do, what'd you say, 16 the first year?
Yeah, we did 16. A lot of it was trial and error. Like I said, we followed you, listened to a lot of your stuff, a lot of other podcasts online. I'm kind of a podcast junkie when it comes to that. And we didn't have any coaching. We didn't do anything as far as that goes. I never really got into any of that up until I joined the Mastermind group that we're part of.
Man, and that's going to take you guys even to the next level. But when did you start seeing the benefit of working with buying deals from wholesalers? How did that come about? That you saw it in a way that would be beneficial instead of being like, too hard to do because they are trying to make as much as they can, and you're trying to find some with meat still on the bone. So how did it come about that you started working with buying deals from wholesalers?
I just started networking as much as I could, just trying to meet anybody that was doing anything in the business that had interest with me. And obviously there's a bunch of wholesalers out there that they sell deals that wouldn't be profitable for a flipper, at least of our scale. They sell to a lot of landlord buyers, but there were a few out there that really took the relationship more seriously than others. They would rather have a buyer that they can send a text message to that says, "Hey, I just put this house under contract this morning. If you go look at it at lunchtime, you can have it." And just making the quick decisions with them is really what built the relationship with them and us.
Okay, so how did you start finding these wholesalers that you started working with? And can you classify the type of wholesaler that you find? Well, let's just start with how you find the ones that you work with.
I've found a few just through like the network meetup groups. A lot of at least up here in Dallas, there's a lot of lending groups that will do networking parties, or not really parties, but people treat them like parties. They supply drinks and appetizers, and everybody comes out, and you can meet a lot of wholesalers there. Especially, there's a lot of new guys that get into the business, and that's what everybody says to do is go to those meetings, and I guess that's why. And then Facebook, I've really found a lot of people through Facebook, especially this year. Being part of the real estate investment groups, a new wholesaler will put his deal out, and if you can respond quickly on Facebook, you can start building that relationship, start having the conversation, and go out, look at the properties, make quick decisions just by talking to them on Facebook. I mean, there's a couple of guys that I've never actually met in person. Talked to on the phone a few times, but we've bought a couple of properties from them.
Great. So it's all about speed then in responding and being the first people to reach out and because that's who wholesalers want to work with, right? Are the guys that are going to be responsive and get out there and let them know whether you can or cannot do the deal. So how do you get to be super responsive in those groups? Do you just pay attention to your notifications from Facebook when people post in the group, and is it local to Dallas or?
Yeah, there's probably 10 or 15 different groups in Dallas that are just real estate investment groups, all named almost the exact same thing. And I probably look at those every couple of hours. I have them all on my notifications where somebody puts something out. And then I have a spreadsheet that I use kind of to do like quick and dirty numbers on as far as rehab costs, because once you've done a few of these, and I'm sure you have something similar, you can almost break it down into square foot as far as depending on what part of town it is. The cost of rehab. I mean, what it's going to cost to redo the flooring, the paint, the roof, all that type of stuff, at least the major stuff.
Yeah. So you can determine pretty quickly whether it's something that you would be interested in or not based on what they post.
Right. I can almost look at pictures and make an offer. I just really need to walk it to make sure that the foundation isn't like a roller coaster.
Yeah. So what do you find that, how often are you seeing these deals being posted, and then how often or what percentage of those do you feel like are ever worth going actually to walk?
Oh, I mean,
As a rough
probably,
idea, I'm sure it varies, but
I probably see 5 or 6 different posts a day on these groups, and I may walk 3 or 4 of them a month, just because most of the deals, either they are, like you said, asking more money than it's worth for me, or it's just somewhere I don't want to be, too far out, too far away from us. We've started narrowing in as we've gotten better at finding deals, networking. We've started dialing in exactly kind of the areas that we prefer to work in versus being all over the spectrum with DFW. So that weeds out a lot of deals for us as well. Makes it a lot easier to become more of an expert in the area that you want to work.
Right. Yeah, so that's pretty incredible to me, that 4 or 5 a day, and then walking, would you say like 3 or 4 a month, and it's really just a numbers game, right? And then you're maybe getting one of those every month or every other month that you're actually putting under contract.
Yeah, there's a few guys that I pay attention to their stuff that they put out, and those are the guys that you build relationships with, to where they don't even put it on Facebook before they send a text message out. There's one wholesaler here in Dallas that we went under contract on a few properties with, and he only has a pocket full of buyers, but he sells all of his deals quickly.
Yeah.
So it keeps him moving forward. I mean, if you squeeze every single penny out of every deal, it's going to take time versus just keeping the wheels turning and moving forward.
Right. So, helping them sell them quickly so they're not having to find the perfect buyer to get the price that they want to get. What do you do? Do you do anything special or have any sort of process to try to build the relationships with these wholesalers that you feel are putting up good properties, good deals with meat still on the bone?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you do you have a process or anything where you try to build the relationship? Like, you see that somebody's posting some pretty decent deals, and so you maybe message them and say, hey, you want to go to lunch or coffee or something? Or do you do anything like that, or do you just work the deals as soon as they post them and then start talking to them?
Yeah, usually I just work the deal right away, and then from there I'll work on building that relationship. Because just like anybody else who's been doing this for a while, there's so many new people getting in every day that unless somebody proves that they're serious, most people won't give you the time of day to actually do anything. A lot of people don't want to meet up with somebody that's not going to take action and just waste time.
Right. So kind of prove yourself first, and then, talk with them more.
Right.
And just kind of naturally build that relationship.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Take action first, and then you can nurture that relationship from there.
Okay. Is there anything that you do special with trying to get them to send you the deals first before anybody else, even if they do have a small list, to try to give you the beneficial treatment?
Besides for being super quick to pull the trigger on something, that's about the only thing that, and being pretty area specific now is probably the other thing. Quick to pull the trigger, though, is probably the best. That's the best way to do it as far as almost any way we get our deals, and that's been the most beneficial. Having a rough and dirty number of what my rehab's going to cost right off the bat makes it really easy to run comps and decide if I can do the deal or not.
Okay, yeah, so that makes a lot of sense, just being real quick about it. Do you make a note of who you've spoken to and you've seen some deals from, and kind of reach out to them on a regular basis to try to stay top of mind, so that when they do have another deal, they're going to have more likely chance to call you? Or maybe they've got one cooking and they don't maybe have the ink dry yet on the contract, and you happen to call and say, hey, you got anything coming up? And, then they end up giving you. Do you do anything like that?
I would say just a lot of interaction on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook. We follow each other a lot, and just keeping up with them, commenting, with what's going on in their day-to-day life, and then just having small conversations throughout the month. That's really that's really what I found to work the best. I mean, whenever you just try to be the guy whenever they think I need to pull a trigger on this, that you're the first guy they think of.
Okay.
And do that makes any sense at all?
Yeah. Do you do anything with helping them analyze the deals, or do anything with newer wholesalers that are trying to get into it that maybe have some leads coming in, but they're not sure how to take those down? And do you offer your help in determining what you would be willing to pay for it so that they can try to get something, make an offer that's lower to pocket the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I offer myself up to pretty much anybody that's new. I will, if they're willing to take action and try to do something even before they put it under contract, I can let them know what I would pay for it. Just like you said, they can work backwards. But I do that often. Unfortunately, you offer your knowledge out to people, and they don't take action on it. So now I kind of require them to take some sort of action before I will try to nurture it and help them learn.
Yeah, it makes sense. What kind of action do you try to make people take to show that they're serious?
I mean, one of the easiest things, and what I do is I tell them, look, go put out 100 bandit signs, put out 25 a week, and you're going to get at least a few phone calls from that. I don't care what anybody says. Bandit signs work, and people
absolutely.
use them all over.
But they are illegal in a lot of places, so make sure that you know that if you're putting them out. We just got to give that disclaimer.
Yeah, that's true, and there's crafty ways to do that. As far as you can talk to a homeowner that lives on the corner of a street, and even going up to get your bandit sign to stay longer, you can go up and ask them, hey, if I pay your water bill, if I give you $20, can I put my sign in the yard for this month? There's a few creative ways to get your signs out without actually breaking the law.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one. I always thought to find the ones where the backyard has a fence along a busy intersection and talking to them about putting it on there. But I think there's usually some laws against that too. So I've never heard that one with about paying I like that it was something like paying the water bill, because even if it's like really low, it sounds better than let me give you $20.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna have to try that one.
Yeah, it's just if you can be a little bit creative as far as trying to get your stuff out. That's one of the ways that I like to do it, though. It's helpful, and it keeps people from ripping your signs out and throwing them away in hours after you put it out there. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then so you want to make sure that they're actually going to do something with the knowledge that you're going to, because you're taking your time and your valuable knowledge that you've earned for the last several years doing this. That a lot of people charge $2,000, $5,000 to learn, and helping wholesalers with that experience, and you just want to make sure that they're going to actually go and do something. So you give them a simple task to prove that they're willing to do what it takes. And I think the bandit sign idea is a great one, because it takes them getting out of a comfort zone to get out there and put those signs out. Like, just thinking about it doesn't seem like it, but as soon as the rubber hits the road and you've got to actually go out and put them up, and there's people walking around looking at you and all that kind of stuff, it's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, I still remember my first time going out and putting out bandit signs, and I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. It's like you said, it's pretty uncomfortable the first time, but after that, it's just business as usual once you get used to it. But it's kind of a pain to do it, and that's kind of why I tell everybody to do it, because if they're willing to go out and throw 100 signs throughout a month and spend $300 on doing some signs, then at least I know that they're willing to take some type of action, and then I can help them out throughout the rest of the way. I pretty much give my resources away if somebody's willing to take action. Plus, I may come up with a new wholesaler out of the deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you are having them order and pay for and put out the signs. And it's not like you're providing them the signs and all that kind of stuff. You're just telling them what to do, and they've got to follow directions, put some skin in the game, and get out there because you're basically showing them a way to find great real estate deals. And what are great real estate deals worth to us as investors, right?
Right.
Worth a lot of money. And so you're teaching them something, teaching them how to fish. And the ones that can see the value in that are the ones that will actually do it. And then you work and nurture those relationships. And have you had any of those students, turn out to start generating quite a few deals for you guys? Or has it been where, you maybe just had one that produced maybe one or two deals?
Yeah, that's been the case. Just kind of a few producing here and there. A lot of people, once you tell them to do something, they'll say, okay, yeah. I say, let me know as soon as you do it. I'll even help you order them. I'll tell you how to do it. And a lot of people will say, yeah, I'll do it. And then, a month later, they still haven't done it. 2 months later, they still haven't done it. And it's like, okay, they're not actually serious enough to take action. So I know that it's not worth my time to sit down and try to teach them anything else.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, so what are some other, so basically all of the wholesale deals that are coming across your desk are basically from the Facebook groups, or do you have other sources of getting these wholesale deals from other wholesalers?
Mailing list. I try to be on every single wholesaler's mailing list that's in Dallas. And I'm constantly trying to add myself to new mailing lists. And that's how I found a few. There's very few, I would say, that put out deals that can afford a rehabber like us. And the reason I say can afford, because somebody's obviously buying the deals. Mm-hmm. They're just not in my, not where I want them to be. Right.
So how do you go about finding all these buyers lists to join? How do you get on everybody's buyers list?
I use it a few ways. I use the if this then that website. What is it? TTT, yeah. And I put in quite a few keywords for it to notify me when somebody posts something on Craigslist. And every time somebody posts something out on Craigslist, a deal or anything, it sends me an email. I can jump onto Craigslist at any time from my email, and then I can reach out to the wholesaler.
Nice. So what kind of keywords are you targeting? What kind of keywords are you targeting in that Craigslist search?
It's fixer-upper, rehab, needs work, ARV, what else? Vacant house, motivated seller. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That probably picks up most of them, especially terms like ARV and stuff. So for people listening that maybe aren't aware of the if this then that, ifttt.com, it's basically where you can set up recipes. I think that's what they call them, right? Recipes, and you can target a Craigslist query. So you go to Craigslist and you put in these keywords that you're looking for in the search. I think separated by the pipe, right? The pipe symbol.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You put a space and then I guess it's called the pipe, and then another space and then the next word. So you can. I think I have like 10 different words, everything you can think of that would have some kind of house in distress in it, and then it sends me an email as soon as somebody posts something out there.
Great. Yeah. So you do that search, and then you copy what the query string is for the URL that for the search results, and then you can put that into the recipe and then hook on your email so that service will run that query for you, I think like once a day, or can you do more than once a day?
Yeah, I don't remember how often you can do it, but I think you can do it a few times a day.
Okay. And then it gets notifications when there's new ones, which is pretty nice. And something I thought of when you were saying that was when you get new ones and you look at those and read those ads that people put up, there's probably a lot more words that you can find in reading other people's ads to see words that you might see. So you can pull in even more searches based on the query, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome way to do that. And then so you get on all of their email lists, and so when they have deals, they email those email lists, and then you receive the email with the deal. Have you found... See, here's a question I've got that, I've talked about with my team often, and I don't know that we still even do it, but it's when you get, to get on all those buyers lists and then get all those deals in your inbox, and you look at them quickly, like you were saying, just like the ones in the Facebook group where you determine, like, oh, well, it's not really going to fit my numbers. Do you ever negotiate with them?
Yeah, I've found that sometimes it's best just to make an offer no matter what they're asking. And my reasoning and thought process is because if they only have 3 weeks to close, the first week they're going to be asking for as much as they can get for it. But as it gets closer and closer to closing, if they haven't written it up with somebody, then they still want to monetize that deal, and they may take $5,000 instead of $15,000 just to get the deal closed.
Right.
And so if you can close, say, in 7 days or 5 days or a couple of days, you can usually negotiate the deal lower based on, time is money. So the faster you can close, the more money you're worth.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people not utilizing the fact that, maybe it's not a deal at the number they put out there, but it could be at a lower number, and you never know when they might accept it. And so, that's the one thing I've been trying to get with the team is I want to see all these deals and then just shoot back a quick, much lower offer just to see if there's any response. And if there is a response, that there's a little bit of thinking there where they're not getting any attention, and they're like, well, I need to work on this because it's the only bite I got. You know what I mean? Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've even done the same thing on some of the deals that we've actually wholesaled. So, I think that helps that we wholesale some deals as well, so we're kind of in the same boat as they are. We understand exactly what they want, because that's what we want.
Yeah, you understand their needs, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that helps because you know what they're going to be interested in hearing. And like you said, the whole closing thing and having a done deal so that they can move on to work other deals. Do you do anything where you work any deals with other people? Because you do wholesaling yourself, like you just said. So do you have like a decent sized buyers list and are able to move properties? Do you ever work deals with other people to sell their deals?
Yeah, we've done that a few times. Our buyers list isn't huge, so we don't do it too often. We have had other people help us sell our deals, though. And so it's kind of went both ways. That's something we're actually working on now, is building our buyers list to be able to do that for other people as well as help ourselves.
Oh, nice. Would you mind sharing some of the tactics you're using to grow the buyers list?
Yeah, absolutely. Every deal that we take down, even if it's something that we're going to rehab ourselves, we'll put it out there on Craigslist, on some of the Facebook groups, and just say, hey, this deal's in Dallas, in this area. You know, send me your information if you're interested in it, and we'll do that on Craigslist, on Facebook, and just post multiple times, and people respond, and that's pretty much the main way we do it. We have looked into purchasing a list of cash buyers and sending them mail, seeing if they wanted to be added to the list.
Where did you get that list from? ListSource?
Yeah, ListSource is probably the best place to get a list like that. Just going through maybe in the past year or two and seeing who has 100% equity in their property, who's paid it off, and then but absentee owners, so you know that they're investors and they're not just homeowners. And then sending that list, you know, your information saying, hey, I buy properties in the area. I'm a wholesaler. Would you be interested in being on our buyers list? And just see what responses you get. We haven't done it yet, but we've had a few people do it to us off of some other property that we had bought, and I thought it was a great idea.
Oh, absolutely. Because a lot of the people that you find are people that have, you know, used a realtor to find a deal and stuff like that, or you know, are amazed at some of the prices that you can offer the deals up to. Do you ever since you haven't done it yet, but you're about to, do you plan on putting like examples of numbers for deals just to get their mouths watering a little bit and wanting to talk with you?
I hadn't thought about that, but that's a great idea that I think I'm going to utilize. So I'm going to steal that from you.
Yeah, no, because you got to give them some something to base it on, because when you say we have deals, like, well, what does that mean? And we had sent those letters out to quite a bit, and I found some of my best buyers doing it that way, and just looking for cash solds on houses that needed a lot of work on the MLS, and finding those people. It took a little bit more work to get the addresses. It was a much smaller list, but I could hit them several times. But I found including the information, especially if you're doing that from the MLS where it's a cash sold recently, and you know that they paid a lot of money because you saw the house and you're like, man, they paid quite a bit for that. And then you can, you personalize the letter and say, I know that you bought this house and I could offer you up the same kind of house for much cheaper. If you're interested, give me a call. Or have the call to action be to go to your website to join the buyers list or whatever. And found that to be, even though it can be more time consuming, I think you can find some of the active recent buyers that way too.
Yeah, you might actually find a few private lenders that way as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, if you're doing research, find as much stuff as you can find, right? You're spending the time to do it.
Absolutely. So
do you guys have a team that helps you with all of this? Are you guys building the team? Where are you at with all of that?
We are building our team. It's Josh and I, and then we have an acquisitions manager that goes on the appointments, puts the houses under contract, and handles all of our lead intake at the moment.
Oh, nice. So has that changed the things for you pretty dramatically?
He's only been on for this month is the first month he's been on. So we haven't really got to see how much the dial is going to get turned up, but it enabled us to turn the dial up on our marketing and our ability to go see some more of these wholesale properties, and then for us to be able to network a lot more, because I don't have to worry about being glued to the phone, taking the lead intake, going on the appointments as much. So it's enabling us to do more of that to expand our business.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, and it turns out too, Grayson, who's on my team, actually went to high school with you as well. He remembers you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I think he said that you were in a grade above him. But it's pretty interesting. We all went to the same high school. It's kind kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty small world.
Now you're in Dallas and I'm in San Antonio. But I guess the wholesaling aspect of it, do you see yourself kind of, like focusing still more on that, or are you finding that targeting sellers in different ways and getting them to just contact you directly is more of where your focus is for the future?
I would say we're leaning more towards sourcing our own deals now. Just because of our ability to. I'm not writing off any of the relationships that we already have or that we're going to build, but I feel like in order to turn the dial up and to do more deals, to flip more properties, it's better for us to work for ourselves, I guess, in finding deals.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you want to reach that certain level, I think it is a very good add-on if you've got somebody to help with all the busy work, like you said, like looking at each of those properties and building those relationships. If you have somebody on your team that can do it, and then for new people that are, maybe don't have much of a budget to be able to go out and do the marketing direct for deals themselves, to use this approach to be able to get these leads. And I think it's a good way to find leads for deals and practice analyzing them. And then going out and looking at some of those, even with no intention of actually buying, just to experience it, what it's like to walk through a house that another investor has put under contract that needs a lot of work, to find out what you don't know.
Right. Well, that's one thing you have to consider too when you're buying from a wholesaler versus sourcing your own deal. You have to think about what that deal would cost you if you had to source it yourself. Say, I know I've heard you talk about what it costs you to find a deal in your market, and in mine it's, somewhere around the $3,000 mark, $3,000 to $5,000 to find a pretty decent rehab opportunity. So I can take that off of the profit that I would expect to make from something I source myself that I'm buying from a wholesaler. Essentially, I'm giving them that much money to bring me the deal.
Well, it's funny. I've never thought about it that way, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, that's I like that. I like the way you're thinking about that. Yeah, because there's certain lead sources that we're using. Sometimes some of the direct mail campaigns end up, being $5,000 per deal, up close to $6,000 on some of them. And
right.
And so, man, if you could offer that much more on a deal that you're getting through them, obviously you don't want to be saying, well, I could have spent $10,000 to get this, so I'm going to pay $10,000 more. You still got to make sure you got plenty of room in the deal, but maybe the average of all the marketing that you're doing, or what other serious investors in your market are doing, and then doing that. But obviously, like, you're giving up some profit and some room in it when you do that. But I do like, considering the fact that on your own, it's like you're not making all that profit because you did have marketing cost involved to get that deal.
Absolutely. Especially if you have like an acquisitions person, and then your marketing cost, you're talking about a pretty substantial amount of money that it costs you to source every deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It adds up quick. And what I was thinking, too, the other day, I was looking at numbers for the marketing cost for the leads and the deals. And, so I'd see ones where it was like direct mail cost $5,000 to $6,000 a deal. And, that's kind of shocking, but we still make quite a bit of money on each deal when you flip and make 30 plus on a rehab. Definitely still worth it. But what I did see also was like the marketing channels where we spent money but didn't even get a deal. And it's like that one doesn't show a number for cost per deal because we didn't have a deal. And so you kind of ignore it. And I was like, wait, we can't ignore that though, because we spent all that money and didn't get anything. And so maybe the one that's $5,000 per deal is even much better than those, because they were just a black hole we put money into. But
right.
I don't know how that fits this conversation, but it was just like one of those things where it's like, ouch,
Yeah. But, no, I've done the exact same thing. So, I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Man, so So what are your plans to grow? What are you guys, what are you going to be shooting for? You're going to just finish out the year strong with roughly two per month, and then
We're trying to get it up to 4 a month. So we've really been dropping a lot of money into marketing and pay-per-click and stuff of that sort. We use Lead Propeller. We use you guys for our website and for our SEO stuff, and also for our Google AdWords
awesome.
management. So that's been showing to be decent for us, doing pretty good, and we're still doing quite a bit of direct mail, and so that's where we're headed, is doing about 4 a month by the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's a lot. You add that up in 12 months, you've got roughly 50 deals for a year, which is
right.
Pretty crazy. And are you guys focused on mainly rehabbing, wholesaling? Or are you making any adjustments there in the percentage that you rehab versus wholesale? Or
we are doing mostly rehabs. I think as the needle turns and if it gets to go 5, 6, 7, 8 deals a month, we'll probably do a lot more wholesaling. And continue to probably do 3 or 4 rehabs a month, and then just kind of let the wholesale deals feed the machine, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool. I think it's a good strategy. And the market up there's still been staying strong.
Yeah, it's really strong. I think that it's starting to slow down a little bit. I'm not sure how it is down in San Antonio, but we're starting to, I guess, see a little bit of a level off. Things aren't flying off the shelf as fast as they were before, but it's still a hot market.
Oh yeah, a lot of Texas is. We're blessed to be in the state. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to be on the show, Chance. And for anybody out there that's listening that wants to get a hold of you, maybe for questions, or maybe they're a wholesaler wanting to start work with you because they're in the Dallas area, how can people reach out to you and get a hold of you?
They can reach out by going to by email. They can go to Chance, like you're taking a chance, the letter H as in Henry, at theseguysbuy.com. And they can also find me on Facebook. My name is Chance Houses. It's Housos. And that is my real last name.
Yeah. Yeah, it's OS, not houses, but OS. Housos.
OS.
Yeah, they had that misspelled right at that group at the meeting. It said houses.
Yeah, they did. I had to correct it. Yeah. So we'll see if it's
like,
fixed.
Did you change your name to that when you started flipping houses? But no. But yeah. Anyway, so I appreciate it, and like I said, I wanna go up there and see you sometime soon. We're not that far, and if you find yourself coming down to San Antonio, definitely reach out to me and hang out a little bit. But thanks for being on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, another fantastic episode. Thank you so much, Chance, for being on the show. And want to do a couple quick shout-outs for people that left ratings and review for the Flipping Junkie podcast on iTunes. And, what I'm doing is if you would go to flippingjunkie.com/rate, R-A-T-E, you can find out how to do that. And I'll give you a shout-out for leaving a rating and review for the podcast. So if you're enjoying it, or I don't know, if you've got some advice for me or whatever, just post it on the rating and reviews, but on iTunes. And so we've got one here from Jen Ridday. If you want to know the world of flipping houses intimately, this is the only podcast you need. So many details I never would have thought of. Loved it. Each episode's a gem. Thanks, Danny. Thank you so much, Jen, for that. And everybody else, if you are enjoying it, go to iTunes and please rate and review it. And if you've got a friend or anybody else interested in getting into flipping houses, be sure to share the podcast with them and let them know to subscribe to get new episodes. And the best place to start is to go back in that series of podcast episodes I did from mindset and foundation to finding money for deals and how to analyze deals all the way through. It's sort of like an audio course training for flipping houses. Definitely share that with your friends, and hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.